Formula One's back in 2021, and I'm back as well in the swanky new studio that's had a winter upgrade of its own to bring you all the analysis through the season, starting with a cracker of a round one in Bahrain. But there's one place to start here, the big battle at the front between Mercedes and Red Bull, Hamilton and Verstappen. Let's get straight to it. Lap 53. And we've got Verstappen finally catching Lewis Hamilton on the run down to turn one. Hamilton has a little defend, just covers the inside line. So Verstappen gets a good exit, and he's going to get a good run here. Pops open the DRS and attacks Hamilton for the lead of the Grand Prix in the dying stages, everything on the line. And Hamilton gives it a big defence. We pause it there. Hamilton's actually given it a bit of a send on the inside. Remember, he's on quite old, hard tyres at this point. Verstappen's attacking on much fresher tyres, but we play it through. And Verstappen sweeps around the outside. So, should be all job done. Verstappen has the lead. He's got the fresher tyres. We're all good. But that's not the case. At this point here, Hamilton's on the radio and he's saying, Max overtook me off the track. And he did. Let's have a look at it on board with Max Verstappen then. So again, in towards turn one. Hamilton covers the inside. Verstappen gets a nice switch back. And you can see here, Hamilton's squirming slightly on the throttle. Now, if I pause it here, look ahead. There's Antonio Giovinazzi in the Alfa Romeo, just ahead, off to the right. Now, if Hamilton was just 1 or 2 tenths closer to Giovinazzi here, he would have had DRS as well, and we might not even be talking about track limits. The fight wouldn't have gone down to this corner necessarily, because Hamilton has the DRS, and Max can't quite attack him because he's got no DRS advantage. But, crucially, Hamilton's just too far back. So Max has the DRS, he has a great slipstream. Hamilton can't really tuck in behind Giovinazzi either, and he goes to the outside. So we head to the corner. Now let's slow it down here. So Max turns in, all under control, leaves a nice cars for Lewis on the apex. This is the perfect start to an overtake, really. He's actually ahead coming into the corner as well. The DRS has done him a world of good down the straight into turn 4. So he's ahead. He's left Lewis space on the inside. Hamilton has barreled in some speed, understandably, to hold on to the lead. But if we play it through, there's one critical moment coming up. All under control, and there. So, here, the car trajectory is looking okay. We're looking like we're going to be coming in, exiting wide, but onto the curb, and that's okay. We're all under control. Max is pretty much fully ahead of Lewis as well at this point. He's kind of made the pass, but not got to the end of the corner. But, look, big problem, the steering wheel. He's pointing to the left for a right-hander. So, he's got a big oversteer, and as we play it through, just look how quickly that drags him out wide onto the runoff area. He catches it, and then bam, he's off. He's clearly all 4 wheels over the track limits. He's made the overtake in this corner. Yes, he was a bit ahead. He wasn't really technically forced out there because he was a bit ahead already, but he's not completed the overtake here without going all 4 wheels off. Arguably, he carried the speed in, which forced him to go wide, and that's why he was ahead in the first place. Pretty much a slam dunk here. There's nothing else really to say. I have seen them given, but the difference here is that Michael Massey, race director, before the race, made it quite clear this aspect of it. Turn 4 track limits was messy. It was really messy, and we'll get into that in a second. But the one thing he did say is anyone gaining a lasting advantage couldn't keep it. And what he meant by a lasting advantage effectively is someone making an overtake off the track. Now, immediately, Massey got on the radio to Red Bull, told them for Max to let Lewis back through, and that's what he did. The race carried on. So, initially, Max is told at this point, great move. A few seconds later, he's told, actually let Lewis back through, and then he does just on the exit of turn 10 coming up. Now, why this has caused a lot of more controversy than it should have done is because the rule was sort of floating around in the race, and it kind of looked like it changed mid-race, to be honest. There was not a lot of clarity, and Lewis Hamilton was just routinely running off at turn 4. 29 times during the race, Hamilton was running off wide at turn 4. And that's because he thought he could run wide at turn 4, because there was no clear clarification on the rule here. In fact, Massey said they're not looking at turn 4 running off in regards to lap time. Effectively, whether you win or lose a little bit, we're not really looking at it. They're only looking at it in terms of gaining a lasting advantage, which is deemed to be what Max had and not what Lewis Hamilton was doing for 29 laps. Now, looking through the data as well, we've had a look through, and it seems to be worth about 1/10, give or take, for each lap. So it's a lasting advantage, but that's not the intention of the rules that was created here. So halfway through the race, Red Bull get on the radio, they've seen what Hamilton's doing, and tell Verstappen to do exactly the same thing.
Max info at this stage, both Lewis and Valtteri are using the exit at turn 4, so feel free to do the same until we're told not to.
Yeah, it was legal, man. So we couldn't do it.
Shortly afterwards, Pete Bonington, Lewis Hamilton's engineer, says, Lewis, we've got to stop doing it, the FIA are clamping down.
And Lewis will get warnings about track limits turn 4, so just tidy that up.
Listen, I thought there was no track limits.
Yeah, copy that on track limits, Lewis, but we are getting the messages from race control, so you will get a black and white flag next time, then 5 seconds.
I've been doing the same thing all race.
Yeah, they're just getting a bit bumpy about it now.
So quite clearly, they have changed their mind on this. He did it 29 times. They didn't let him do it a few times and then say stop. They said stop once Red Bull were cottoning onto it. And actually, even Hamilton's laps to the grid, the recce laps, he was going wide there at turn 4. He fully intended to do it because that's what his interpretation and Mercedes' interpretation of the rules were. Sadly, Red Bulls weren't the same, and therefore we've got this contrast early on. But it's a different issue, the running wide, compared to gaining the position off track. That was made a bit more clear, and that is clearly the problem here. Max went all 4 wheels off track. It's clear to see, and I think that's why we had no complaints. And coming up around turn 10 here, he slows up and dutifully follows team orders and lets Lewis back through. Now, the next thing is, this shouldn't have been race over. You've still got Verstappen on the fresher hard tyre with Hamilton on the older hard tyre about to come through. So let's play it through again. Watch, Max is completely offline here. He's gone right to the inside, all the way down the straight, onto the dirtier part of the track in the desert. And he's been pretty kind, letting Hamilton back through into turn 11. And there's no chance to overtake into this corner. So he has to follow through turn 11. Then he comes up the hill, fighting. You can see the steering wheel just making small corrections through turn 11 and then through turn 12 as well. But look how close he is. Now, a Red Bull on fresher tyres compared to a Mercedes. Remember, the car took pole position. Verstappen's just hunted Hamilton down as well towards the end of the race. With 2 corners to go until the DRS zone and then another DRS zone to make the pass, this should be plenty enough for Verstappen to still make it. But he has his next problem, which almost cost him the race as much as going wide at turn 4. We play it through slowly from here. Hamilton turns into turn 13, and then look, again, straight away, as soon as Max turns in, just watch the steering now as I play this one through. He's just fighting it the whole way, just turning left, and the rear is gone. He's got no rear stability, really wide at the apex, lost a load of time, and this pretty much lets Lewis off the hook. Still fighting the car on the exit. Now, the rear tyres take a lot of pain in Bahrain. It's a really abrasive surface, and it's hot as well. And look, again, coming through the final corner, another little snap of oversteer through there. Hamilton's gone. Max does get the DRS here and can close the gap, but he's not close enough to make a move anymore. And he was right on Hamilton's tail just a couple of corners ago. So if Verstappen hadn't have had the big oversteer at turn 13, he would have been there, he would have had DRS, he'd be attacking again into turn 1. But he did, and it's a double effect. Not only has he lost a load of time, but he's just cooked his rear tyres as well. And that's why it takes a while then to get the tyre life back and have another surge at passing Lewis Hamilton out front. So it's a double whammy, and from here, the race is really tricky for him because he's got the cooked tyres, he's got the gap, and it's basically too much to overcome. So the question is, in hindsight, could he have done anything differently? Well, already after the race, Verstappen said, you should have let me go. I would have taken the 5 seconds and still won. And that's debatable. He had 3 laps to pull out 5 seconds to Hamilton, or 3.5 laps. Could he have done it on fresher tyres? He reckons so in the heat of the moment, but he wasn't catching by enough to necessarily say it was overwhelming that he would do that. But it would have been tight. I'm glad he didn't, because we got a great race. The other thing is, would it have necessarily been a 5-second penalty? Some rumours from the stewards said that it actually might have been a 10-second penalty, which wouldn't have been enough anyway for Verstappen. There's no way he could make a 10-second penalty up. He'd be coming second regardless there.